It's been a couple years since I've done the video. The last one got like 42,000 views or something like that. I don't know. But apparently there's a lot of people having questions about the prong collar. And before I get into all of it, I want to just mention that it's not about the tool, okay? It's a nice tool. I do use it pretty consistently. I usually do introduce it to pretty much every dog that comes through our program, but sometimes I don't need it. It's just nice to be able to go to something that the dog is already acclimated to. So the first thing that I wanted to do is just go through what the collar is and what it's not. And then I want to go through what the training process looks like as far as the different phases. And then this dog that I have with me today is actually ready to start the conditioning phase. So I'm going to show you the 4 phases of the structured walk and what that looks like. So I'm taking the prong collar video and the structured walking video and merging them into one. I hope the wind's not too bad today. It's a beautiful fall day today in October. I'm at Jerry Irwin Park here in Spring Hill, and I have Lucky, the service dog in training. He's a golden retriever, and he's just laying down right now. He's chilling. All right. So I'm going to try to keep this under 30 minutes because I want it to be both videos together. And if you have a question about structured walking, if you have a question about the prong collar, any of that stuff, please put it in the comments, okay? I do look at the comments. I do respond to them. Please do not text me questions about sizing because I'm going to go through all of that, okay? So don't tell me how much your dog weighs. Don't tell me how, don't reach out to me, okay? Look in the comments down below, look in the description under this video, and I'll show you how to do all of the sizing and everything, and I'll also go through it on this video as well, okay? So the first thing that I'm going to do is all that I have on him right now is the prong collar and the leash. He's been acclimating to the prong collar over the last couple of weeks, actually. We don't need to acclimate for that long, but his parents were willing to do it, so he's been wearing it a little bit, just getting used to the weight and the pressure of it. So before I get into any of that, I want to talk about whether or not the prong collar is the right fit for you. If you have a dog that is attacking the leash already, you probably need to wait to integrate the prong collar just for a little bit, okay? If you have a dog that is very, very neck sensitive, meaning you can have a leash and flat buckle collar on them and you give them a correction and they go like that whenever you just give them a leash pop on a flat buckle collar, it's probably okay to wait for right now on the prong collar, okay? There are some situations where a flat buckle collar, a martingale collar, a slip lead, a gentle leader, a harness might be fine for certain dogs. I don't use them typically, a harness, but I do use a lot of the others. And usually if you integrate from a very early age, this is what the structured walk looks like, then usually you don't have to do all of the tool stuff. The main reason for this video is twofold. The questions that I'm getting about structured walking are usually about tools and techniques, but you have to actually learn how the timing of when you make those turns through using the turnabout system, okay? So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna back off of the camera a little bit and let you see how I make a slip lead out of just the leash, okay? Come here, Bubba. Yes, good boy. All right, nice job, buddy. Good. All right, so to make a slip lead out of the leash, all I'm gonna do is just clip the leash to itself. There we go. Now I have, nice job. Tighten that down. All right, good job, Lucky. Uh-oh, are we frozen? All right, I don't know if you caught any of what I just did. I think it's still paused. There it goes. Okay, we're recording again. I don't know if you saw me making a slip lead with the leash, but that's not the point of this video, so I'm just gonna keep going. All right, so I'm stopped right now, so he's just laying down. Like, I don't need to give him any input for that. He's just chilling right now, okay? So this is the Herm Sprenger 2.25 millimeter prong collar. And it is a martingale style collar, which means it has a triangle of material that's connected to a circle of other material. Okay, that's all I mean by martingale. It's got a circle with a triangle, okay? So when I go like this, it engages 360 degrees around the neck instead of just at the front, okay? If you have a flat buckle martingale collar, it's more than likely going to the dog's still going to be pulling you, choking, all that stuff if you don't know how to do the turnabout system. So the anatomy of the collar, it's got this nice chain on it. It's a nice narrow chain here. It's got the dead ring. It's got the swivel ring or the D ring up here on top. And then all of the prongs, the base prongs here are differently shaped. You notice how it ends right there at the end, right here in these base prongs. And then it's got the little clasp that it actually clips into. All right. The only other piece, which is changeable, is this little ring in the middle. It's called a plate, but you call it whatever you want to. Anyway, usually I suggest taking this collar apart, just using the actual prongs themselves, okay? So in order to do that, I'm just gonna push up with my pointer finger, just like that. See how I'm lifting it up? And then I'm gonna pinch it off with my other hand, okay? So it helps to do it with two hands. You can also do it with one. Okay, I'm gonna show you again. Push, and it literally just lift it up off the collar. You see how it kind of flops back like that. I'll do it one more time for you. Push, and lift it right off, okay? This one belongs actually to another client, and it has some bent parts on it because they were keeping the prong collar on the dog too long. All right, so I'm gonna you don't have to put the faceplate in a certain spot, but I like it to be pretty close to the middle, just so that I'm really getting that bi-directional action and getting correction on both sides. So I try to make it about even where the faceplate is in the middle. It doesn't really matter, okay? I try not to put it like right beside the base prong here, but you'll be fine either way. The reason that I like it like that is that I don't really want the prongs to be just one direction. I want them to be two directions as much as possible. So you see how they're facing opposite each other as I show you the prong collar, okay? That keeps that correction 360 degrees, and it keeps the dog from just having their head turned whenever you give a little pop on the prong collar. So just to be clear, what this is designed for is not necessarily just pressure. And if you're using pressure as a correction, you need to go back and look at your operant conditions. Okay, that's the first thing. The second thing is, if you're using a pressure as a correction, you're probably gonna make your problem worse, especially if it's aggression or reactivity related. So stop it, don't do that. I see a lot of clients doing this whenever their dog starts to get reactive and they're trying to correct the dog by using pressure. That will not help you, that will not serve you, it will make your problem worse, okay? So that's pretty much the prong collar in a nutshell. Faceplate, prongs, base prongs, I don't know whatever, the little hole things, and then you've got your chain here, okay? A couple things that I see people do is this dead ring will sometimes get caught here on the inside of this base prong. See how it's hung up right there? So then I only have half of the action on the prong collar. So you see it's supposed to be a triangle, and it's really just one side having the action, okay? So that's one thing that I see. Another thing, same problem, but a different creation of it, is that the prong collar will be twisted when they put it on the dog. So they go and they clip it on the dog. To put it in there, you just pinch these together, and it just falls right in. Show you that again. So this flexes. Just drop it right in these two little loops, okay? Do not try to do this and pull the prong collar down through that little gap. It will get stuck, and you will have to really finagle it to get it unstuck again, especially if you put both of them inside there. And what happens is that's about a ½ inch. Your prong collar will shrink by a ½ inch every time you do it. So I've gone to people's houses before where they say, it seems like the prong collar is a little small. And it's because 5 or 6 of the links, they have the prongs up here north of this little loop, okay? So with this malfunction where it's twisted, you notice I don't have barely any action, maybe half, but just it's limited, okay? So you want full free range of motion. Make sure that this is free here, that it's not twisted. And then this is just gonna come up. You're gonna pinch these two prongs together, and you're gonna drop it right in there, okay? Now, you can get a quick release for these. It's called a Click Lock quick release. It's very secure. It's from Herm Sprenger. They cost about 15 to 20 bucks. This video and any videos with me using the prong collar are always the 2.25. I swear to God, if I get another question about a 3.25, oh, my dog's bigger, should I do a 3? Probably not, all right? If your dog is 120 pounds, go to a 3.25. Do not ask me questions about anything else, all right? Measure your dog's neck. This is about 16 inches all the way around, 16 to 17 inches in circumference all the way around, no matter what the thing says, okay? So when it comes out of the box, it's usually about 16 to 17 inches. So if you measure your dog's neck and it's more than that, you need to do one of two things. You can get a quick release, which extends the length of the collar by replacing this middle plate right here by about 2 inches. You can replace it with that and that'll add some length for you. The second thing you can do is buy a set of extra links of the 2.25 millimeter gauge, okay? So the gauge actually refers to the gauge of the wire that they use to make each of the prongs. It doesn't have anything to do with anything else. Because it's a larger gauge, they also make the prongs larger. So what that means is on those big clunky prong collars, you see this is only as wide as my thumb. It's very narrow, it's very sleek, it's very mindful and demure, right? Anyway, the big clunky prong collars, the problem with that is you're not getting a very clean action. And when you do, there ends up being a lot of release to pressure. So it ends up just going straight to the end of the leash and it ends up kind of getting stuck in that pressure state because people don't know how to size them properly. But those big clunky prong collars, my mindset is just stay away from them, okay? It's made by the same company. It's a great tool. It can be good for a huge dog, but most dogs that are between, let's just say 40 and 80 pounds, that's where most of my client dogs fit in. This is perfect, okay? If it's between 80 and 100 pounds, yeah, it'll probably need a few more, but what you're specifically looking for is to measure the diameter of the dog's neck, okay? The sizing on the prong collar needs to be up here nice and high. Kind of see where my beard is right here? It needs to be under the dog's jawline right here and behind their ears. It doesn't need to go across their neck here where the flat collar would go, okay? So if you're using an E-collar and you had all three collars on, it should go flat collar, E-collar, prong collar. Really anything that the leash is connected to should be up here high above an E-collar, but that's for another video, okay? Let me think, anything else? The only times that this should be on the dog is when you're actually supervising the dog or you're working with them. Don't leave it on them when they're in the crate. Don't leave it on them when you're traveling in the kennel. Take it off the dog, okay? It should remain separate and you need to protect it because what will happen, you can tell it's happened here, is that prong will get bent. It's just slightly bent and it won't be quite as effective when that happens. It's been twisted. It was also a little over large whenever the dog came. So anyway, it's not super bent, but I'm really picky. All right, that's pretty much it on the nature of the prong collar and how it's designed, okay? And a little bit about whether or not you should use it. So whether or not you should use it, anatomy, let's talk about how you actually put it on the dog. So I'm gonna go ahead and disconnect this right here. So I disconnected it. And I'm gonna go up under the jawline here and I'm gonna connect it in the back so that I can actually see it going together on the top of the dog with my own eyes, really clicking into place there, okay? If you have a click lock to replace with this little faceplate, it clicks really loud, you can hear it, and then there's a little cover that covers the button. Herm Sprenger designed it very well, all right? So he's a puppy. He doesn't really need the prong collar. This is honestly for you guys more than anything. I am going to bring this down a little bit here. Actually, I'll just leave it where it's at. I'm gonna go underneath the dog's chin. I'll just face this down. How about that? There we go. Good boy. All right. I know, you're so playful. He's ready for a session right now. Good job.
Hi, Boogie. Hi, Boogie Woogie. What are you doing? What are you doing?
Yeah, you're so handsome. Why are you coughing? Don't be coughing.
Don't be coughing, Boogie boy.
All right. So see how he's a little feisty right now. All right. I don't hate that. I actually kind of like it. Now I'm gonna take this chain part I'm going to rotate with both hands. I'm going to rotate the collar until that face plate is kind of right down on his throat. And then since he is in active acclimation, we'll get to that here in just a second, I'm going to actually clip this swivel ring. The swivel ring there. And then I'm going to take the dead ring and I'm going to loop it in with it. I'm going to double clip it, okay? So ideally, if the dog's walking on my left, then that chain should be pointing to his right. So it should be pointing at me, okay? So ideally, once I put it on, it should be nice and high. This little thing from the vet, that would be about where his flat collar would be. Or if it was the e-collar, it would be a little bit closer to the prong, okay? That's typically the order that I recommend that it go in, okay? Let's talk for a second about your leash grip. I see a lot of different things. I see this, don't do that. I see just like literally like if you hold the leash like this, you can pull that out of your hand super, super fast. Like don't do that, okay? If your thumb is not in the, don't use your pointer finger. It will break your finger. I had a client tell me last week he had his pointer finger broken. Don't use any of these other fingers, okay? The way that the universe, God, or some higher power created our hands is for when I go like this and I take the loop of the leash, I should just be able to slide that onto my thumb right between these two knuckles and close my hand, okay? That is the only leash grip that I ever use, the only one, okay? That's the foundation of everything, all right? Again, switching hands is super easy. I just take my other finger, I slide in there, and then I close my hand. Switch, 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 switch. And it's very, very secure. If the dog takes off towards something, all I have to do is go, no, very calmly. The dog finds the correction over there, okay? So as of right now, we're double clipped to the 2.25 millimeter Herm Sprenger prong collar. We've got a nice little nylon leash, nothing fancy. You don't need to have this like super thick, I always see these super thick leashes. I'm like, why do you really need that? You really don't. Like it's kind of pointless to have this big thick leash going to this tiny little prong collar. So I like a nice thin leash. Ideally something that's like biothane that has kind of a rubbery texture to it, okay? The reason for that is as long as your leash grip is solid, then you should be good. It doesn't matter what the material is. What I don't like is when the leash is made of something that's elastic, okay? So stay away from big clunky leashes and elastic leashes that have like the bungee material in them. You want something that as the dog goes to approach the end of that leash and you say, let's go and turn the opposite direction, that they find the correction at the end of that leash there, okay? So let's talk really quick about the phases of conditioning, or the phases of, sorry, the big loud truck, the phases that you're gonna go through when you're working with tools, okay? The first phase is acclimation phase. That means just getting used to the presence of the thing. Like he got excited when I just got it out and he's like getting all, you know, antsy and stuff because he knows what it means. He knows that we're about to go for a walk, okay? What I don't want is all of that arousal. I actually want calm. So for my dogs, when I get the prong collar out and I'm holding it, they don't use a prong collar anymore. When I get any collar out and I hold it, they sit. I put it on them and then I have to tell them to be free. Okay, so the arousal level is very low. If you get the all excitement and everything, back off for a second, because that will set you up for failure later on as you're trying to get the prong collar on. It's gonna put you in a rush to put it on. You're not gonna get it on right, and then you're gonna mess up and the dog's gonna get off the leash, okay? Or they're gonna hurt themselves. So if you can use this tool properly, which doesn't really take a whole lot, it can be an excellent tool for a lot of different things, and we're gonna show you that right now. So the first phase is acclimation. The second phase is conditioning. It's how do I turn off pressure on this collar, okay? The third phase is intermittency. It's when I'll kind of switch between sometimes using the collar, sometimes not using it. And then really a little bit of proofing and continuing education, really just the long-term maintenance with the dog. So how do you fade off of the collar? How do you teach the dog to not need the collar? So those are kind of the 5 phases. This dog has already acclimated, so this is his first time conditioning with me with the prong collar. I can't remember whether or not his parents said that they've actually done any sessions directly with the collar. So we're kind of off the path over here right now. You notice it's right here. I just want to respect other people's privacy. And I'm gonna move over closer to the trail here. Let's go. Come on, Bubba. So I don't notice how he's just like he's biting the leash and stuff. What that tells me is that he's probably had a lot of pressure used. Hey, stop. I'm gonna use my foot just to give a little pressure there. Thank you. So I'm not gonna create any undue pressure on this collar because he's already fighting it. He's like, no, don't do that to me. So he's probably had this used a little too much too soon. He's still just a baby. He's still just a baby. He's like 6 months old, okay? So what I'm gonna do is just drop the leash there for a second. And I'll get set up over here. And really you wanna have like a little straightaway path, just so I can do some turnabouts here, okay? So I'll get this set up. There we go. All right, and he's laying in the grass over there, he's fine. So the 4 phases of structured walking are called the turnabouts. And what the turnabouts are is a way to acclimate or to condition the dog that when I hit the end of the leash right there, it's considered a punishment or a pop, okay? So I obviously want the dog to learn to naturally avoid that, okay? So before I start to do avoidance training, I need to do escape training, which means that he knows how to turn it off in a very subtle way, okay? So I'm gonna go grab him really quick. He's just like rolling on the ground right now, being crazy. What are you doing? Good job, buddy. And he's recalling really nice. Good job. Nice job, Bubba. So see how I did that without conflict? I didn't go drag him over here with the prong collar. I just gave him the yes marker and he goes, oh, that means that I get paid over there with you. So I'm gonna come to you, okay? So if you go back and watch his Instagram videos, you'll know he understands the break, yes, and good. He also understands what no means, okay? So when I'm starting my structured walk, I wanna make sure that I'm going through these 4 phases, okay? The purpose of these phases is to claim space on the walk, all right? The first phase is I wanna kinda let the dog find the correction at the end of the leash. So I'm gonna hold the leash long and I'm gonna turn away from the dog, all right? So that's phase 1, the leash is long, I'm turning away from the dog like this. So if you're the dog, I'm going, let's go, and I'm turning. The point of me saying let's go is I want to find a little bit of anticipation where he hears let's go and he turns on his own. That's what's supposed to happen here, okay? So he's sniffing dirt right now. I'm just gonna say, let's go. Turn him off. And as soon as he starts to pass in front of me, as soon as I see him in my peripheral, let's go, I'm gonna turn. Good job, let's go. Good. He actually has not hit the end of the leash yet because we've already done this on the flat collar. Let's go. All right, notice he's tangled. It's his job to untangle that. Good, a little tiny bit of pressure, nothing crazy, okay? That's it. All right, that's phase 1. I'm gonna come to a stop here and apply a little bit, good, of upward pressure to teach him how to turn off that pressure. I'm gonna pay him when that butt hits the ground, okay? Again, all of this stuff is stuff that we've already done just on the flat buckle collar with the leash. Good job, buddy. All right, so that was phase 1. The leash, I have my leash grip, the leash was long, and I was turning away from the dog, okay? This time, the leash is gonna be short. Not tight, but short, okay? So I got my leash grip here, close the hand, take the rest of this and put it on your pointer finger. Close your hand, okay? That's my leash grip. It's all over here. It's all on one side. Don't hold the leash in 2 hands. Keep it all on that one side, okay? So this time, the leash is short and I'm still turning away from the dog. Same exact thing. I'm only doing this enough times that I can tell that when he hits the end of the leash, no, I'm turning pressure on. No payment for that, okay? Because he got up out of the sit. So I said no, I turned on pressure. He sat, I relieved the pressure, okay? He's learning the conditions of how to turn this off. That is escape training, okay? And the dog understands it, it's very clear to the dog, okay? The next step is to teach him avoidance training, which he's gonna learn in step 3. So step 1, leash long, turning away. Step 2, leash short, turning away from the dog. Let's go. Okay, got a little pop there. He's gonna learn to avoid that. Let's go. Okay, a little bit less pressure. Let's go. Almost no pressure. Very good. The pressure is going down. Let's go. Very nice, buddy. Very nice. Oh, just the faintest amount of pressure. Almost nothing. Okay, and I'm going to keep on walking. See how he got distracted? Let's go. That's all I got to do is keep on walking. Let's go. Okay, very nice, okay? This time I'm going to come to a stop and my expectation has gone up. Easy. Good. Nice job, buddy. Good job. All right, so I want you to go back and just use the rewind feature on YouTube. And I want you to watch that again, and I want you to watch my arm. It does nothing. I'm not popping. I'm not like yanking the dog toward me or anything like that. I'm not putting on pressure around turns. I'm not lifting my arm, okay? If he were to cross over to my right side like this, like if he ended up, I'll just turn it so you can see. If he ended up on this side and I still have my leash grip over here, I would continue moving forward and I would just pull the dog over to the left side again, okay? All I have to do is lift my arm as I keep moving forward. I see a lot of clients panic when that happens because they're like, oh no, he's on the wrong side. In phase 1, I don't really care which side the dog is on. I'm just gonna keep turning away from them. In phase 2, I'm like, no, this is the side that you're on, okay? All right, phase 3, we've done the leash long turning away. We've done the leash short turning away. We're gonna now do the leash short turning into the dog, okay? So what that looks like is, we're gonna come to a sit here. Good. This is conditioning. This is the phase that he's in right now, so this is perfect. Turning off pressure, okay? So same length of the leash that I had before. Leash grip is set. I take my leash and hang it on my finger, and then I close my finger, okay? So my primary leash grip is still here, right? Still have that locked in. Now the dog is gonna be the hinge of the turn, all right? So I'm not turning away from him, I'm claiming this space in front of him. Because for dogs, space is respect. So if he's forging out in front of me, I wanna show him, you're disrespecting me. I don't want that, okay? At the very least, he's blowing me off, right? So I wanna kind of claim this space right here in front of him. You're doing so good. You're doing good. Yeah, I love you, buddy. All right, so in this situation, if he's in front of me, and let's say I'm walking straight towards you and I need to turn into him, it's not turning into the leash, it's turning around the dog, using the dog as kind of like my hinge. I'm gonna show you that again. Do not do this. Don't turn into the leash, turn into the dog. Let's go. And then say let's go once you're through that turn. Good job, buddy. Let's go. Good. I had to navigate him through that one a little bit. Nothing wrong with that. All right, and this time I won't have to do it. Easy. Let's go. Good job, my man. Nice job, bud. Good job. Come on. Good job. Very nice. Okay, we're gonna do one more of those right here at the camera. Easy. Good job. Very nice. And one more right here. Good job. Okay, you see how I didn't even have to use pressure there? Huh. Good. It's very subtle. I mean, it's not cruel, and I think that people mistake that for, I don't know, maybe some people probably correct a lot. I used to be a lot heavier handed, and I just started hearing, you know, whispers from clients like, yeah, I don't know if I could do that, you know, or from rescue partners. Yeah, someone said you're really heavy handed. And as a dog trainer, especially somebody who has videos and stuff online, I do have to be above reproach. If someone sees how I train today and says that I'm heavy handed, they can go take a hike. All right, so he's still in position by the good boy. Are you tired already? I just want to point out how mentally exhausted he is, okay? I'm making this last longer on purpose to be able to explain everything, but when you do this exercise, it should only take about 3 to 5 minutes. So it shouldn't be taking 20 minutes or 30 minutes long. But if you're worried that your dog's not getting enough exercise, but the dog doesn't know how to walk properly, you need to focus on the fundamentals first before you take the dog and let them go express their reactivity all over the whole neighborhood. That's not helping you, and it's not helping the dog. So stop doing it, okay? Learn how to walk in your living room. Then take it to the backyard. Then take it to the driveway. Then take it to the street just in front of your house. Then take it a couple houses down, and then to the neighborhood, and then to the public park, and then to the patio restaurant, and then to, you know, a dog park where there's dogs zooming around all over the place and you're outside the fence, right? So this dog knows that we're gonna take this in that stair-step approach, one step at a time, instead of going, okay, we mastered it in the living room, now let's go to, you know, a dog event, right? Like, don't do that, all right? Especially if you have a reactive dog. I want to take a second to talk about socialization versus exposure as well. I do not want you to mistake socialization for needing to have other people constantly meet your dog. That will create a reactive dog. You will regret it, okay? Especially as young as he is, I really want a dog like this to just learn, hey, not everything is my business. Like, I don't need to focus on all of this other stuff out here. All I need to focus on is the handler, okay? So we got a young man running across here. Lucky's like, okay, I don't really care. He just looks at it and he goes, okay, not my business. I don't need to give him any payment for ignoring that. I don't need to do anything. I just need to go, I'm not putting relevance on it, neither should you. And what happens a lot of times is we let people approach the dog, we let them pet the dog, we try to make our dogs meet each other on the leash, and that's a bad idea. Stop doing it, okay? I will make a video on reactivity because I've changed a little bit of how I handle reactivity lately, just to be able to handle it and allow the dog to process through things a little bit more instead of shutting them down emotionally so they don't feel comfortable making any decisions. That's not what I want. That's not a long-term solution. So you notice the leash is on the ground. He is not connected to me at all right now. And the reason that I trust him is that we've already done this stuff on the leash with the flat buckle collar, with the food for the last 2 to 3 days, okay? It doesn't take a long time to do this stuff. No. So he's gonna get a little pop here. I'll give him a little opportunity, a little pressure. Okay, it's not bad. I would prefer that you lay down. Down. Just a little guidance here. A little tiny bit of pressure. Okay, and I'm not gonna mark it and I'm not gonna reward it. All right. So I don't know if you caught all of that, but I gave a little tiny bit of pressure on the leash and he went right into the down. Okay. Let me loosen this and turn it a little bit. All right. So sorry I got off track there. So phase 1 was leash long, turning away from the dog. Phase 2 is leash short, turning away from the dog. Phase 3 is leash short, turning in. Phase 4 is leash long, turning in. Okay, you go, what does that look like? Okay, because we're getting control from the natural use of just having a leash on the dog. I don't need to constantly exert control or pressure on the leash. And I just saw a video 2-3 days ago with a YouTube or a Instagram dude who was in another country that has a percentage of a million followers, who can't fucking walk a dog on a leash properly, who's using constant pressure and can only really travel about 50 feet with the dog. And I'm like, that's not really realistic, right? That, like, you're constantly you're taking away the dog's ability to make a decision in a lot of cases. So now I want you to see how each of those first 3 phases affected his awareness of where that space is, because the whole point of structured walking is to put the dog into that pack drive so that they learn who's in charge, who is the leader in this situation, who is the one who has the control. All right, you ready to go? Come on, Bubba. Nice. All right, I'm gonna immediately turn into him. Okay, very good. Look at that good boy. Yeah, good boy. Nice job. Nice job, no? Good. All right, so again, let's go. Good job. Let's go. Excellent job, buddy. Very nice. Okay, and you notice I did cross the leash over to my right hand so that he didn't step on it and stuff. I'm just gonna wait a second. If I'm stationary, good. Good job, buddy. Good. Okay. If I'm stationary, he knows this. That his butt is supposed to be on the ground. So if I come to a stop and he's not sitting, eventually I'm going to give him a leash pop. Right now he's very much still in the learning phase, so I'm laxed on my criterion just a little bit, Michael Ellis. All right. So as I go through the training process, the criterion that I'm looking for are going to get more strict as I release the dog from positions, as I come into a stop. I want the dog to eventually auto sit. So those were the 4 phases: the leash long turning away, the leash short turning away, the leash short turning into the dog, and the leash long turning into the dog. And by the end of it, it should look something like this. Let's go. Nice. Good job, buddy. Very good. Who's a good boy? All right, go man. I can also just hold it, you know, like if you want to, it doesn't really, come here. It doesn't really matter to me the way that the length that you hold your leash while you're just in a long walk. Like we're about to take a 0.8 mile walk right now. Do you want to take a walk or do you want to play? What? Good. He's ready to play. He needs to play a little bit. If you do this stuff properly, we've talked about a lot of things during this video. We've talked about, do you need to use the prong collar? We've talked about the anatomy of it, how you act, the different phases of training on the tool, the different phases of structured walking. We've talked about reactivity. Ultimately, if you do this properly, if you're a good dog trainer, and any dog owner can become a good dog trainer, you should be able to move from leash pressure or physical pressure to spatial pressure, where I'm just luring or I'm giving a little push with my body, or even a pull. That's negative spatial pressure. Yes! Good job, buddy. Good man. Nice job. So leash pressure, spatial pressure, and then social pressure would be literally just saying the command or saying the marker and then getting the reaction that you want. So let's say that he came up out of that sit right now. I would say no. And I don't have to say it that. I'd just go, no. Just completely neutral. Keep your tone nice and calm. You don't need to get all worked up and stuff. It is an emotional tool, and sometimes I'll use my voice a little bit more. Good boy. So I want to point out something. He already knows that if we come to a stop, he's supposed to put his butt on the ground. But he also knows that if he gets up out of that sit, then he's gonna get corrected, okay? So he went into a down, all right? I don't mind that, all right? A sport dog trainer may have something to say about that. As a pet dog trainer, I'm totally cool with it because it means that now I can surrender that leash and I have a nice, calm, cool, collected dog. I can sit there and talk to my neighbor, and the dog doesn't have this expectation that people are gonna, oh, because as soon as they do that, what happens? No. Shouldn't have marked it, that's okay. Working on that. I'm not perfect, you're not perfect. The nice thing is, if you do this properly, and you will mess up, you absolutely will, but if you follow this system, then you're gonna mess up, the dog is gonna mess up, I'm gonna mess up, but you're not gonna mess up the dog, okay? Ultimately, for me, it's about what does the system look like on the dog. Right now, he looks exhausted. He's like, this isn't super fun, but it's also because we made it last forever, okay? So I'm gonna shrink this down a little bit and finish up here, okay? We're 42 minutes in. It's way longer than I meant it to be, but just to review really quick. The collar that he is wearing right now is not a choke chain. It's not a dominance collar. It's not a choke collar. It's a prong collar. I don't usually call it a pinch collar, but people call it that. It's a 2.25 millimeter Herm Sprenger prong training collar. The idea of the collar is to create a quick correction, or to be able to put on light pressure, very, very light, to be able to guide the dog into a position, okay? Or just sometimes as a reminder. The nice thing about it is it keeps the weight and pressure off of the dog's throat. So I was walking into Tractor Supply one time and a guy said, yeah, you really want to stay away from those collars because it'll collapse the dog's trachea. And I go, I'm sorry, what? I was like, what is happening right now? Are you giving advice to my client? Like, I was like, you need to leave. Like, this is not your business right now. He said, is it gonna collapse? I was like, I've never seen a dog's trachea collapse with a prong collar, okay? If you did that to a dog, I don't know how you did it, but that's some kind of special fucked up right there, okay? That should not happen, all right? If you use it properly, that should not happen, okay? I've never had it happen with me. Never really seen any damage from a prong collar on a dog when used properly, okay? Let me review really quick. Yeah, so we were talking about the anatomy a little bit. Ultimately, a lot of times I get questions about, is this the proper use of the e-collar for something? Most things in my house, if it's a behavioral related thing, most things I use the prong collar for, because it's something that the dog's already acclimated to. They already know how to turn off the pressure or to avoid the punishment. They know what it does, they know how it feels, and they go, I don't really like that, I'm gonna turn that off by not performing that behavior. I'm kind of oversimplifying a little bit, but we're gonna take a walk now, and I wanna point out that this situation that I put him in is very unrealistic, just like the private lesson will be. If I come out to your house and do a private lesson, you're almost never gonna session the dog for an hour straight under any circumstances with structured play, with shaping, with structured walking, or even just a sniff walk. Most of the time it's not gonna be an hour long. It's gonna be about 5 minutes, okay? If you can do 3 things for me, 3 things, this is all I'm gonna ask, okay? If you can crate the dog 100% of the time while they're not being directly supervised, listen to that again. If you can crate the dog 100% of the time that they're not being directly supervised, if you can do a little bit, 5 minutes of structured walking, and if you can do 5 minutes of the yo-yo game or free shaping, okay? Something with food, something with walking, and crate 100% of the time that they're not being supervised. The other 2 options that you have there to mix in with your shaping and your walking is sniff walking and structured play, so like fetch, tug, possession games. Usually I need to show a client how to play the possession games because you're usually doing it wrong, okay? So those 4 activities: shaping, structured walking, structured play, or sniff walks or stimulation. If you can just choose 2 of those things a day to do for 5 minutes apiece, that's 10 minutes a day. If you can't do that, then you should not have a dog, okay? If you can't do that, you should not have the dog. If you have dog-on-dog aggression in the home, if you have a reactive dog, if you have a resource guarding dog, if you have a dog that's guarding space, if you have a dog that is perfectly great, they're a puppy or whatever, they have no issues, still the exact same advice, okay? Why is it the same advice? Because it returns the dog to a base state that this is not my world, I'm just living in it. So that puts you in a position of leadership where you can now utilize the resources at your disposal to train the dog. That's the very first thing in the training guide, which I send to clients as soon as I have the first conversation with them. The first thing that I tell them is you've got to take control of all of your resources. You are the primary resource. So stop giving tons and tons of eye contact and petting and to the dog as soon as you come in the house. It shouldn't be like that. Just ignore them. Let them chill for a little bit. And once the arousal is down, maybe you sit down on the couch and you take your shoes off and you give them a couple pets. But you don't want a dog that's addicted to the physical touch, and you shouldn't be addicted to it either, okay? So you're the primary resource. The second thing is freedom, all right? If I give a dog too much freedom too soon, they may be really sweet like he is until they're like 7 or 8 months old, but you're gonna start seeing a little bit of resource guarding, a little bit of, oh, this is my person, this is my house, this is my yard, this is my space, and they're gonna start barking, growling, lunging at things. And if you don't believe me, just let it play out. And you can call me when the dog is 2 years old and they're, trying to bite people and bite other dogs. If you can prevent all this stuff, then prevent it. Like, just try to do your best to take control of the resources now so that you're not creating problems for yourself in the future. So number 2 was start controlling the dog's freedom by using the crate, okay? People ask me all the time, well, what if I'm working and the dog's just laying at my feet? If they're sleeping, they can sleep in the crate. Well, what if I put them in a pen? If they're in a pen, they're enclosed, they're probably just laying there chewing on something. Put them in the crate, okay? It creates a lot of stability for the dog. It takes away the ability and also the responsibility to have to make decisions constantly so that they're not sitting there trying to figure out, what am I supposed to be doing right now, okay? If you take a toddler and you put it on your bed to take a nap, they're eventually gonna get up and they're gonna walk out and they're gonna go, hi, mommy, right? If you take a newborn baby and put it on the bed, they could die, right? So realize that as you phase up in age, the dog can earn freedom progressively with progressive entry into the house. They don't constantly have to be supervised nonstop. In fact, a good portion of the reason that you think that training is overwhelming is because you give the dog access to you 100% of the time, and that's wrong. It's the wrong thing to do, okay? No. No marker, no reward, okay? So he got up, I said no, I turned on pressure until he downed again. It was very light pressure, extremely light. So what I'm teaching him there is I will be very firm, but I'm also very patient. I'll guide you into position, I'll show you what to do. And then if you stay there long enough, I'll actually release you from that position and you'll find reinforcement through some other means, okay? So we talked a little bit about freedom, we talked about family. If there's a dog that's not safe around your newborn baby, don't let the dog around your newborn baby, okay? If there's people that are coming over that you're like, I don't really know how this dog's gonna interact for a time, keep the dog from those people. Pretty easy, right? Also, when you're on walks, you don't need to have people coming up and meeting the dog and petting the dog without permission, especially. because it'll develop an expectation that every time that we come out and we see people, that we're going to meet them. So it'll do one of two things. It'll put the dog on the defense, or it'll develop an over-arousal, overexcited expectation that I have to meet everybody out there, okay? Both of those things are very unhealthy and you don't want it, okay? So friends, that was the resource that we talked about. Food. Your food should be fed, if the dog is like between 6 and 8 months, I would move more toward just 2 meals a day. One of the meals is fed inside the crate after the first potty break of the day. The second meal is fed when you're done with work for 5 minutes using the yo-yo game that is in a different video, okay? So 5 minutes of shaping with one meal, and then the other one is fed in the crate during the morning or during the night. I don't really care which one that you use. Fun, all right? That's the next resource. That could be toys. It could be just an exciting thing that the dog loves to do. Use those things as a reward. Don't just have free access to all of that stuff all the time, because eventually the dog is going to get bored with it and you will not be able to leverage that resource for training, okay? So what's the point of all this? Is it just to be a jerk and to be a drill sergeant? No, it's to be able to leverage these things so that you can actually have fun with your dog. Like if he's finding reinforcement through other means constantly, do you think he's going to be excited to work with me? No, okay? I'll give you a very personal example, all right? I used to be married. I would go eat Taco Bell and she would say, hey, we're having this for dinner. And I would go eat fast food. And I would get home and I would say, I'm not hungry. That's wrong, dude. That is wrong, okay? So you're actually allowing your dog to find that fulfillment elsewhere and then resenting them for not wanting to work for you, okay? Uncommunicated expectation 100% of the time breeds premeditated resentment, okay? So this has kind of been a catch-all video. The whole purpose of the video was to talk about two things, the prong collar and structured walking. We ended up talking about like 70 different things. I'm actually going to change the name of this video to like everything you need to know in an hour or something like that, so that I can send it to a client and just be like, this is where I would start, okay? It really doesn't include everything because there's shaping stuff that I haven't thrown in here. But anyway, I'm not going to edit it or anything like that. I really don't care what anybody has to say about it. If you have something positive to say, you're welcome to leave a comment. If you have something negative to say, then just text me. Be a man or a woman and just text me. My number's on my website. You can text that number. If you're a client or a potential client, don't text that number. The first thing that you need to do is fill out a training questionnaire at allegiantcanine.com. Click on the training questionnaire link, fill that out. I'll call you within 24 hours. We'll book an initial session. Every single service through our company is $150. Okay, so if it's a private lesson, it's $150. If it's a day of board and train, it's $150, all right? We give discounts towards specific rescues, up to 20% for our rescue discount if it's at one of our rescue partners. We give 5% off for military, police, education, certain volume discounts with big companies like GM is really close to us here. We have a lot of, Vanderbilt is another one. We have discounts for all of that stuff. And ultimately just ask, you know. I do charge, if it's like outside of like the Columbia, Spring Hill, Thompson Station, Franklin area, if it's like Brentwood, Nashville, I'll probably charge $1 a mile for mileage one way. And if you buy all of your lessons in advance, then I also discount I put the discounts on your mileage too. If you don't buy your discount or your sessions in advance in a bundle, then I do not discount the mileage, okay? Long story short, the next thing that you need to do if you want to set up training with us is fill out a training questionnaire. I'll call you very quickly. We'll set all that up. I'll come out and meet the dog. I'll send the invoice for the lesson. And if you want to keep rocking out just one lesson at a time, totally fine. Don't mind that at all. But what's nice is if you buy your lessons in advance, then we'll go ahead and book all 5 of those lessons as soon as you pay. All right. please, if I send you my Calendly link, do not book more sessions than you have paid for, all right? It's okay if you do. I know someone did it recently. It's okay. Not gonna be the end of the world, and they've shown up for every appointment. They've been practicing. I'm very proud of them, okay? Last thing I'll say is just a little bit about me as a trainer. I started training professionally at the middle of 2018, really the beginning, but I didn't start taking money for it until the beginning of 2018. And I've been working with animals since I was a kid, but professionally full-time in my own business since the beginning of 2018. And this is all I do. And one of the wonderful things about being a dog trainer is that you can really make it your own. And the thing that sets Allegiant Canine apart from other companies is that I want to get the right results under the right time frame, always prioritizing the personality and the emotions of this dog, okay? I feel that it is a spiritual calling. This is a spiritual program. This is a program with emotions. It is very real. If you have a trainer that's telling you to ignore things that you feel, you probably are working with someone that's very unhealthy, all right? There are certain things that you feel that I'll tell you that's a little codependent, you know, and I'll tell you maybe the proper emotional way to deal with it, but I'm not ever going to tell you screw your emotions suck. Like, sometimes they lie to us, right? And I can help you be honest with that and show you what's going to be effective. But ideally, I want you to have a really nice, well-behaved dog, which doesn't have to cost you thousands of dollars, okay? Let me just paint a picture for you in the last 3.5 minutes that I have. If I can get a client to do one lesson every 2 weeks and actually do the homework, they'll be off-leash trained in 5 lessons, okay? I'm gonna say it again. If I can get a client to book lessons every 2 weeks and they do all the homework, they'll be off-leash trained in 5 lessons, okay? Each lesson is $150, that's $750 for 5 lessons, off-leash trained, okay? The difference is the owner will actually understand how to do the stuff for the next dog. The owner will have the education and the mindset and the muscle memory that they need to do to keep that dog obedient for a lifetime, okay? If you want 100% off-leash reliability with no tools at all, in public with high distractions, I usually recommend 10 lessons. Again, 2 weeks apart. They're $150 a lesson. I usually do the first hour of training. The first 15 minutes is usually with the dog. I sync up with the client, we catch up. I do another 15 minutes with the dog, I sync with the client, we catch up, and then I do another 15, and usually the dog is wiped out. They're usually exhausted. So we usually do some sort of mixture of shaping, structured walking, sniff walk or stimulation, some kind of enrichment, and then structured play. If I can get those things locked in for the owner and for the dog, they're gonna be just fine. The dog is gonna get plenty of fulfillment for a lifetime, and we're gonna win together, okay? And really, that's our training paradigm, is training dogs together. It actually won't work. If you ship the dog off to a board and train and you spend thousands of dollars, you probably just threw that money right in the trash. You probably just lit it on fire, because ultimately, if you don't understand why the training worked, then eventually you're gonna be caught slipping. And I see it happen all the time. I have clients call me all the time. Hey, we paid for this really expensive training. We're really ashamed to say we did not keep up with it. We don't really want to contact them again because we didn't get the education that we needed. And that's what we bring to you, is Allegiant Canine is all about training dogs together, okay? You are the most important part of this, all right? I love you. I hope that you're doing well, whoever you are out there in the interwebs. Lucky and I are gonna go put this camera away, and I'm gonna decompress from technology, and I'm just gonna go out and we're gonna enjoy our walk together. All right, come on. Come on, Mom. Yeah, good boy. I'm gonna keep on walking. Good boy, Lucky. Good man. Yeah, my guy. Look at that guy right there. Very nice, all right? 6-month-old puppy, day 3. I love this life. I love training dogs. I want to do it with you guys. I want to train together. If you guys need anything, just let me know. All right, we're right at an hour. 8 more seconds. Take care of each other. Love one another. Talk soon.